Hi, this is Ushio, and welcome back to Sable's Grimoire. Our date with Drakan took a bit of a weird turn. We tried to get her a present, it wasn't exactly what she wanted, so she transformed into a dragon, went a little bit berserk, and ran away, and we don't know where she's gone. So here we go, hours slip away as I linger in the city, listening for word of dragon sightings. I travel from venue to venue, carrying Drakan's torn clothing in a shopping bag as I inquire about my lost companion. Unfortunately, for all the time I spend searching, my efforts ultimately amount to naught. The only people who have seen Drakan are those who witness her flying straight up, away from the city. Everybody else simply assumes that I'm crazy, especially after seeing the torn female clothing I'm carrying around with me. Faced with nothing but discouragement, I inevitably give up and wind up catching a train back to Amadronia. What a disaster. I thought nothing could top the drama from our last date, but as fate would have it, I was dead wrong. Compared to an attempted bank robbery in which nobody was hurt, today's events were far more troubling. Already too late for dinner, I decide to head straight back to my room. Most of the students are asleep by now anyway, and I've already told the principal what happened. By this point, there's nothing left for me to do but to go to sleep. I wonder if Drakan has calmed down by now. She was pretty upset at the time, but Drakan usually bounces straight back. Knowing Drakan, I'm sure she'll be back to normal before long. Drakan will apologise for her outburst. I'll reassure her that everything's okay, and we'll both go back to how we were before. By this time tomorrow, everything will be just fine. I'm sure. Yeah, okay. I'll hold you to that. Still nothing, huh? I see. I'm sorry for wasting your time. I told you, it's no trouble. I'll contact you via your terminal as soon as I hear anything, okay? Yeah, thanks. I turned to leave the principal's office with a sullen look on my face. Even though I anticipated such a response from Iron, that fact doesn't make the situation any better. Sable, wait. Look, I know that you feel responsible for Drakan's disappearance, but moping around all day isn't going to bring her back any sooner. Go to class, lose all track of time while you study in the library, create some new spells. Go back to your usual self so that when Drakan returns, she doesn't feel responsible for the mess you've become and leave again. Yeah, I understand. I leave Iron's office after receiving a negative response to the same question I've been asking every day since her disappearance. Ever since Drakan disappeared, I've been carefully monitoring the news for any Drakan sightings and coming to Iron every day to ask if Amadronia has been contacted. However, even after running myself ragged, I still have nothing to show for my efforts. Maybe Iron's right. What I'm doing now is clearly having no effect. I should be using this time in a more productive manner, just like I would have before Drakan disappeared. Racked by guilt over Drakan's disappearance, I found it difficult to focus on anything else. Even my own research seems unimportant when I think about how it can't help me now at a time when I need it the most. All I've been doing lately is watching, waiting, and hoping for Drakan to return. Okay, enough moping around. If I'm going to keep hating myself for what happened, I might as well put that feeling to good use. It's time to get serious about learning from my mistake and to figure out what I can do to resolve the situation as quickly as possible. Into the library, let's see now. War tactics against dragonkind? No. The evils of dragonkind? No, not that. How to cook dragon meat? Who the hell wrote this? I'll sift through the yet to be digitised books in the library which pertain to dragons. Surprisingly, there are quite a few books about dragons to be found. However, these are all useless. All I want is a study of dragonkind and their known habits. Is that so much to ask for? Not if you don't mind reading through troves of contradictory or downright incorrect findings. The moment I voice my complaint, Joru, seemingly ever present in the library, walks over to me. I've been through all of this with you before, Sable. Dragons, angels, griffins, any creature which attains legendary status is bound to invite misinformation. Ironically, once a rare or elusive species gains enough renown, it actually becomes more difficult to find accurate information about them. Yeah, I'm beginning to realise that. Maybe I should work on a tracking spell or something instead. This is going nowhere. Now, there's no need to give up so soon. You've only been here for 10 minutes, and you've barely even scratched the surface when it comes to books about dragons. Why don't you tell me what you're looking for? It's part of my job to help students find the materials they need after all. It is. I thought you were just being paid to digitise the books in your free time. There was a time when that was the case. When the previous librarian quit to focus on her studies, I was offered her job. Since the two jobs overlapped a fair bit anyway, I took the extra pay without hesitation. Oh, is that so? In that case, I'll happily take you up on your offer. Though I don't know if you're going to be able to help me, given the nature of what I seek. Okay, information about dragons and other legendary creatures can be rather tricky. Is there something in particular you want to know? Narrowing the search criteria might help. Oh, well, to cut a long story short, I made a half-dragon friend of mine mad. I thought I was doing a good thing at the time, but it seems like my attempt only invoked her ire. You mean how you're trying to find her friends? No, something else, much worse apparently. Okay, so you're making a habit of irritating dragons. And now you want to learn more about dragons in order to prevent something like this from happening again? Yeah, exactly that. I know it isn't something specific enough to search for, but any information about the tendencies of dragons would be helpful. I understand your desire, but that's not much to go on. Would you mind telling me about what you did to make her mad? Assuming it isn't too personal. Whatever you're imagining, you're wrong. The short answer is, I bought her a piece of jewellery and she went on a rampage because it wasn't the one she wanted. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Dragons are notorious treasure lovers and renowned hoarders of anything shiny. This is something really disputed. Almost every depiction of dragons I've ever seen, even in books dating back hundreds of years, has confirmed this. They love gold above all else, and they're extremely possessive when it comes to the things they hold dear. Yeah, I found that out the hard way. So it would seem. You should be thankful to have survived such an encounter. Dragons are typically logical, analytical creatures, but when they start to become obsessed with something, they lose all sense of rationality. If you denied that half-dragon something she wanted, then it's a miracle that you're still alive to tell the tale. It's really that big of a deal? I repeat, it is a miracle that you're still alive to tell the tale. There are many stories of dragons becoming enraged and razing entire forests or settlements. A dragon's obsession is not something to be underestimated, Sable. Or at least, that's how the stories go. Wow, I thought Dragon went overboard at the time, but it sounds like she actually was doing her best to control herself. Nobody got hurt or killed, no buildings were destroyed, no forests were burned down. Really, the only things that were damaged were her clothes. Or at least, those are the only physical things that were damaged. Her clothes. What did you do to that poor girl, Sable? Wait, don't misunderstand. I'm not the one who ruined the clothes, okay? Dragon transformed back into a full dragon without getting undressed, so the clothes she was wearing were torn to shreds. Oh, so that's it. I was picturing something kinda different. Again, with that, stop it. Sable, what happened to the clothing that the girl discarded? Did you leave it behind, or did you collect it? I grabbed Dragon's torn clothes and put them in a shopping bag with our other purchases. I still have all of it in my room. In that case, no damage has been done at all. Bring me the remains of her clothing, Sable. I'll fix them up for you. You'll fix them. I was thinking I'd try my hand at some kind of restoration spell, but if you already know one, that would be great. Magic isn't the only way to repair something, you know. Bring the pieces to me, Sable, and I'll show you how my kind fixes clothing. Isn't she kinda like a spider? I'm not sure. Happy to accept Jolu's offer, I returned to the library with the shreds of Dragon's torn clothing, carried in the same bag as they were on that fateful day. Jolu then takes the individual pieces of fabric, lines them up in such a way that they look whole once more, and gets straight to work. Using her extra set of legs, and thread from who knows where, Jolu mends Dragon's clothing at a surprising pace. Moving her spider-like limbs expeditiously, Jolu makes quick work of the torn clothing, soon producing an outfit which looks as good as new. Wow, that's amazing. I'm looking right at the part where it was torn, yet I can't tell at all. It looks like it was never damaged to begin with. I can't believe you did that without using magic. As I said, magic isn't the only way to fix something. Maybe you rely on magic a bit too much, especially considering that most of your race can't even use magic to begin with. Wow, you're not the first person to tell me that. Sorry, Jolu, but I'm attending Amadronia for a reason. I have no plan to lessen my reliance on magic. Yeah, figures. At any rate, I want to thank you for fixing Dragon's clothes. This outfit meant a lot to her, so I'm sure she'll be relieved to see it repaired. It was my pleasure. It isn't often that someone asks me to help them with something not related to books or research. Well, you are the librarian. That doesn't mean it's all I'm good for. Why don't people ever come here just to say hello, or to ask how I'm doing? I'm sorry, I'll keep it in mind next time. I really do appreciate your help though, with the clothes, the information on dragons and everything else. Yes, fine, don't worry about it. I hope you're able to make up with your friend soon. I'll need to track her down first. I haven't seen dragons since... What in the hell? What's going on? I don't know. It feels like the entire academy's... Sable. What? Did you just... Sable. What is going on? No. I ran out of the library and into the hallway, followed close behind by Jolu. Following the sound of the booming voice, I find my way to the nearest window, at which point I glance outside and try to locate the source of the sound. The moment I do... Who dis? I know exactly who, or rather what, is calling me. I seek the human male known as Sable. Bring him to me, or I shall extract him by force. My body freezes the moment I lay eyes on the one calling for me. A dragon many times bigger than Dragon is perched atop the academy. Razor-sharp claws sink into the exterior of the academy building, tearing through stone as though it were paper. Its ominous glare pierces the hearts of all who look into the beast's eyes, conveying a dire warning through eye contact alone. If we try anything foolish, we will all perish. That dragon wants me? Oh shit, why would it call for me? Bring Sable to me before I lose my patience. I will tear these buildings apart stone by stone if that's what it takes. My knees shake as the dragon's voice echoes throughout the entire academy. Its message reaches all of the classrooms, the principal's office, the underground facilities, and probably even the city. There is no possible way I could fail to hear its command. We are fucked. That dragon is calling for me. I don't understand. I've never even met a dragon before, apart from Drakan. Why would one suddenly... Before I can finish the sentence, it hits me. I do know this dragon. We've never met, or spoken, or interacted with one another in any way, but we most assuredly do know of one another. Our mutual acquaintance has made sure of that. Sable, what are you gonna do? That dragon is threatening to destroy the academy if you don't go out there. But if you do what it says, there's no telling what's gonna happen to you. Clenching my fists by my sides, I look out of the window one last time before turning away. No matter how frightened I am, I realise I've got no choice. If I don't go out there, we're all gonna get killed. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go out there then. Are you sure? I nod nervously. I can't just run and hide. If I do, the academy's done for. Besides, even if I didn't go out there, it's not like I'd be able to escape from here. I'll just have to take my chances. I'm sorry. As your senior, I should be saying something reassuring right now. I know I should, but... From head to toe, Joru is shaking. Even without noticing that, one look at her eyes is enough to tell how frightened she is. Far more so than me, the one being targeted, Joru is absolutely terrified. Is the reason why I'm so calm, comparatively at least, because I've seen a real dragon before? No, maybe it's the fact that I know who I'm dealing with. I step forward, placing my hand on Joru's shoulder. Don't worry, everything will be okay. I'm gonna go talk to the dragon, and it's gonna leave us in peace, I guarantee it. Still shaking slightly, I steady myself as I leave Joru behind. Despite the reassurance I offered Joru, I'm kinda nervous. I might be more calm about this than the majority of the students at Amadronia, but I am by no means confident. If this dragon is who I think it is, they may very well be here to end my life. My patience begins to wane. Bring me the one called. From outside of the academy building, I walk toward the perched dragon. Using illumination magic, I summon forth 2 orbs of light, one in each hand. Waving my arms around frantically below, I quickly succeed in gaining the dragon's attention. Oh, you've come. Having gazed at my figure for only a moment, the dragon begins to move. Extending its body toward the ground below, it brings its face in close, meeting my gaze head on. The ground beneath my feet shakes, paired with the gale force wind which the dragon generates by merely exhaling. It's enough to knock me off my feet. Drawing closer still, the dragon brings its face less than 1 meter away from my body. It then inhales through its nose, as if trying to suck me in. Your scent does indeed match that of the human I seek. However, if you are truly the one, then I must express my disappointment. Given what I've heard about you, I was expecting someone far more impressive. Retracting its face, the dragon continues to glare at me. Watching my movements carefully, judging my ability on sight alone, the dragon resumes its assessment of me. Pitiful physical strength, feeble ether reserves, low potential for any kind of spell casting. What, if anything, is your redeeming feature? The dragon stops speaking as it waits for my answer. Mustering up my strength and courage, I stand up. Then I cast another spell to redirect the air currents around me, thus increasing the volume and rage of my response by having the wind carry my voice. I'm Sable Labier, a human... That is not what I asked. I already know who you are, human. What I don't know is if you're worthy of the praise you've received. Spare me any false modesty, be direct and concise. What makes you any different than the rest of your contemptible ilk? Pondering the dragon's question for only a moment, there are two answers which immediately spring to my mind. I've got the ability to see ether, as do all of my kind. Responding bluntly, completely unamused, the dragon conveys to me a fact not found in any of the literature I've ever read on dragons. Wow, come to think of it, Dragon did say she can see ether too. I guess she isn't the only dragon with the ability. I shake my head as my thoughts begin to go astray. This is no time to get distracted, I must focus. Is that all? Is there nothing else in which you take pride? I stare into the dragon's eyes as I regain my composure. If a rare ability is not enough to impress it, I can only gamble on my obsession. There is one other thing. I am a master of spell creation. I have created and refined more spells than any other persons, be they human, elf, or born of any other race. When it comes to deconstructing, analysing, rebuilding, and improving spells, I'm the best. Somewhat embarrassed by my declaration, I try not to let it show as I puff out my chest and boast proudly. Even if I've gone overboard with the bragging, it's not as though I've lied outright. To this day, I've never met someone better than me at what I do. Besides, the dragon did say to spare any false modesty. I just hope my gamble pays off. Interesting declaration, human. You boast of feats and abilities which one cannot measure through sight alone. The dragon removes its hind legs from atop the building. Limb by limb, the dragon relocates itself to the ground below, now standing before me in all its glory. Completely blocking out the sun, it stares down at me, sending chills up my spine with nothing but its gaze. Alas, even I cannot verify your claim so easily. For the truth to come to light, further observation will be required. Before my eyes, the dragon begins to morph. Its body shrinks, rapidly yet fluidly, until it is no bigger than dragon when she assumes her dragon form. Not stopping there, I watch in awe as it shrinks further still, its claws turn to hands, its wings into hair, and its scales into clothing. Fast, efficient, and without any cause for embarrassment. An astounding transformation, similar to dragons, yet refined to perfection. At the end of this brief, shocking display, what remains before my eyes is a young woman clad in black. The human form of a pure-blooded dragon. I'm getting a little rusty. There was a time when this transformation took no more than a second. It truly has been a long time since I last assumed human form. The young woman quickly glances over her own body, as though confirming the state of her transformation. A moment later, her eyes are once again fixed on mine. Greetings, human by the name of Sable. You may call me Nidhogg. Nidhogg? Wait, the Nidhogg? Do not lose your composure. I have no desire to answer inane or rhetorical questions. I am here to judge you. Judge me? What did I just say? My body shudders involuntarily as Nidhogg's gaze narrows. With piercing eyes completely unlike dragons, she sends chills up my spine with a single glance. Even in human form, this being is not one to be trifled with. Loathsome though it may be, it is my duty nonetheless to discern your intentions toward my kin, and to evaluate your suitability. I assume that you already understand why this duty is mine, and mine alone. Only understanding half of what Nidhogg is saying, I nod in agreement. You've taken it upon yourself to judge me because I'm your daughter's boyfriend? Close enough. I let out a sigh of relief as I finally confirm my suspicion. The mighty dragon standing before me, the legendary Nidhogg, is not visiting Amadronia out of self-interest, or the desire to annihilate. She is here as Dragon's mother. While I don't expect you to know this, terms such as boyfriend and girlfriend hold no meaning to my kind. You are the object of my daughter's desire. Any designation beyond that is the product of your own imagination. Finally, given a hint pertaining to the intent of the dragon before me, I ask an obvious question. I understand that you're here to judge me, but what happens if you find me unworthy? I shall encase your body in amber and add you to my collection. Wow. I don't have the stomach to ask Nidhogg to elaborate on that. And if I am worthy, then I will give my daughter my blessing to do with you as she pleases. Whether she chooses to take you as her mate, devour you, or to start a collection of her own, I will not interfere. Actually, knowing that girl, she might even go as far as to perform a bonding ritual. Despite my curiosity, I once again keep my thoughts to myself and refrain from requesting further information. Of course, that is only if you manage to gain my approval. I'll warn you now, human, I am not easily impressed. Touting spell creation as your defining talent may be an adequate delay tactic, but it will not serve you well when it comes time for me to judge you. I have filled countless grimoires with spells of my own, all of which are incomparable to those cast by humans. The trial which awaits you is one you will not pass so easily. We are so fucked. As Nidhogg and I enter the academy, a path is immediately cleared before us. All of the students and teachers who naturally came out to gawk at the dragon perched atop the academy hastily return to class the moment they see us. Not because they're supposed to be in the middle of lessons, of course, or even because the unbelievable sight has now disappeared. Rather, their motivation for hiding in the classrooms is one nobody at Amadronia should have any trouble understanding. Put simply, what drives them is fear. They all come out of hiding to gaze upon my true form, yet they run in terror when I appear before them like this. How ridiculous. Nidhogg snorts in derision, as students and teachers alike continue to flee the moment they lay eyes on her. While it is an unfamiliar sight to me, I can't say that I'm surprised. Considering how many students fear Dragon, it's no wonder that Nidhogg's presence has resulted in a situation like this. Yeah, I can't really blame him. Seeing a dragon perched in the distance is completely different to being approached by one. You mean they fear my proximity, rather than my form? Yeah, pretty much. Even if you alter your appearance, it doesn't change who or what you really are. Yeah, I see your point. Not that it matters. It isn't as though I have any business with those cowards. If they cannot even stand before me, then their existence is inconsequential. Wow, Nidhogg really is a harsh judge. Which, now that I think about it, does not bode well for me. Wow, come to think of it, I suppose I ought to pay him a visit while I'm here. Sable. Yeah. Escort me to the elf. The elf? You mean Iron, the principal? Correct. Do you know where he resides? Yeah, sure. I can't guarantee that he'll be in his office, but I'll take you. Okay, fingers crossed. Without passing by a single student or teacher, Nidhogg and I make our way to the principal's office. We walk in silence, without a single word of conversation being uttered from either party. Unlike Dragon, who's proven time and time again to be a friendly chatterbox, her mother seems to possess no desire whatsoever to interact with others. Okay, this is it. If you want to visit the principal, he's usually right in here. Excellent, let's just pay the elf a visit. Us. You don't really want me listening on your conversation, do you? Yeah, I do. There are questions I plan to ask the elf, some of which he may not be able to answer. When that happens, I'll have you fill in the blanks. Okay, yeah, I can do that. That being said, if the principal can't answer you, I probably won't be able to either. Considering the nature of the questions I'll be asking, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Oh god, what is going to happen? Without further ado, Nidhogg pushes open the door to the principal's office. The moment she does, Iron jumps in fright, then quickly stands up and hurries over to greet us. Oh, Empress Nidhogg, welcome, welcome. I've been eagerly awaiting your arrival since I heard your magnificent voice from outside. Please come in, make yourself at home. Iron stutters as he speaks. I can clearly see his hand shaking, and there are several beads of sweat running down his face. Completely lacking his usual composure, Iron displays obvious signs of fear in front of his natural predator. Wow, spineless as ever, I say. It's little wonder your students and teachers fled, given the cowardice of their principal. Yes, indeed. Wow, Iron didn't even try to deny Nidhogg's words. Just what kind of power does this woman hold over Iron? Elf, let us waste no time. I assume you already know the meaning behind my visit. I believe I do, yeah. You wish to test your daughter's boyfriend and to confirm the state of the environment in which she has been staying. That is correct. Tell me, Elf, why is it that my daughter has been unable to find any companions at the academy? Apart from the human boy, that is. Oh, it's a difficult question. You know, all of the students here have their own circumstances and they can't be expected to stop prattling and answer the question. As you wish. I believe the main reason is that the other students are afraid of your daughter. Oh, now that is encouraging. You mean to say that she has struck fear in the hearts of every single student at the academy? Maybe not all of them, but certainly most, yes. Many of the students attending the academy are in the process of integrating into human society because they were driven from their homes by force. Most of those students were the victims of human civilization, but there are also those who were, made homeless by you. Oh, so they don't fear my daughter, but the blood running through her veins. Yeah, they do not distinguish between one dragon and another. Just as you treat all elves the same, they view all dragons as threats. I see, it's kind of regretful. To be fair, their fear of Dragon doesn't just stem from her bloodline. From what she's told me, Dragon has set fire to a number of miscellaneous objects around the school. Rumour has it that she even tried to eat one of the classmates. Not willing to risk adding my unnecessary commentary, I'll keep quiet and listen to the adults talk. Setting aside matters pertaining to my daughter for a moment, you seem to be misunderstanding something, Elf. I am. Yeah, you are. Contrary to what you might think, I do not treat all elves the same way. If I did, I would be plucking your bones from my teeth at this very moment. Iron freezes up. Unsure of whether Nidhogg's remark is a threat or simply the truth, he finds himself unable to respond. So, do you two know each other? Seeking to help Iron, I interject, causing Nidhogg to focus on me instead. There was a time when I lived in a cave on the outskirts of this elf's forest. Oh, so you're neighbours. More like a ruler and her slaves. I spared the lives of the elves in exchange for treasure. They would bring me any magical artifacts or other valuables they procured, and I would refrain from raising their village. Oh, I see. And yet, you trust Iron enough to leave your daughter in his care? Why wouldn't I? My daughter is already far more powerful than he is. Besides, elves may not be wise, but they are not foolhardy either. Your principal understands the fate awaiting him if anything bad should happen to my daughter. Iron doesn't disagree with a single thing that Nidhogg says. Even if he doesn't like what she's saying, he would never do so much as dream about invoking her ire. No wonder Drakan has been getting away with doing whatever she wants. Iron clearly has no intention of testing his luck with Nidhogg. Not that I can blame him. If I were in Iron's position, I'm sure I'd act in the exact same manner. Nidhogg returns her gaze to Iron, instantly causing the elf to flinch. Now then, next question. In her short time at the academy, what has my daughter achieved? Achieved? As in grades? As I recall, your daughter is currently around the upper middle of the pack? What? You're telling me that there are students ranked above her? Yeah, it does seem to be the case. After all, we rank students on the number of factors. If it were merely a contest of strength, your daughter would be at the top of her grade without a doubt. So, it's your grading system that's flawed. I should have expected as much from a system created by an elf. Yeah, my deepest apologies. I unhappily accepts Nidhogg's criticism, much preferring to endure her words rather than her claws. So, outside of her grades, what can you tell me about my daughter's time here? Give me a reason to allow this academy to remain standing. Yes, well, your daughter is being educated in all kinds of things that she would never have learned without coming here, such as, oh yes, the advancements of technology in human society and how they have led to mankind's dominance over other races. So, you've been feeding her propaganda. What? No, of course not. We're teaching the students about the dangers of meddling with humans and how to protect themselves. Know thy enemy and all of that. Surely you understand the importance of not underestimating others. Are you being purposefully daft? I can gauge one's power at a glance. There's no need for estimation. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Humans might be weak, but they hide behind their technology and use it to bolster their power. Have you never been taken surprise when their crude tools turned out to be powerful weapons? Nidhogg looks away for a moment, as though recalling her past encounters with the human race. Very well, I shall acknowledge the importance of learning about one's enemy. However, that had better not be the limit of what you can tell me about my daughter's time here. No, of course not. We're just getting started, I assure you. Next, Iron's eyes dart around the room as he looks for inspiration. Suddenly, he widens his eyes as his gaze meets mine. Oh yeah, Sable! Oh god. Sable here has taught your daughter all kinds of things. Not just about human society, but also about magic. Now I know you're lying. Pray tell, what could a mere human possibly teach my daughter? Damn it, Iron, way to throw me under the bus. I think back over my conversations with Drakan and try to remember any instances in which we talked about magic. Unfortunately, Drakan's interest in human civilization far outweighs her interest in magic, or at least that's the impression she always gave me. As a result, most of our conversations have centered around my race, not my research. Well, I can't think of anything much off the top of my head, but I did teach her about puppet magic. Puppet magic? What is that? Oh, you mean combination magic, of the master-slave variety. Oh, combination magic. How pointless. What good is there in a dragon learning combination magic? It's not like anyone at this academy is powerful enough to successfully perform combination magic with her. Iron looks over at me, silently telling me to point out how Nidhogg is wrong. Iron, you coward. Say it yourself. In spite of my unspoken complaint, I do as he wants. Actually, that's not true. What was that? You heard me. In fact, your daughter has already performed combination magic with someone from the academy. You lie. I shake my head. I'm telling the truth. Impossible. I cannot sense any other dragons here. Who else but a dragon could possibly put it off? Iron and I both look at one another for a moment, and then back at Nidhogg. You're not going to believe me, at least not initially, but the truth is, it was me. Human, do not attempt to bluff a dragon. I can gauge your strength more precisely than you realise. I know exactly how powerful you are, and what you're capable of. Will you truly assert that your power is on par with that of my daughter? I shake my head. No, of course not. Good, that is what I... Even so, we did perform it. Nidhogg pauses for a moment as she sharpens her glare. Enough of this nonsense. Either explain yourself properly or shut your mouth. Fearing that Nidhogg's patience might be coming to an end, I decide to explain to her what puppet magic is. The variety of combination magic to which I'm referring does not require both parties to be of similar levels of power. Instead, puppet magic, also known as master-slave combination magic, depends on the relationship the two parties share, as well as their personalities. It involves the master sending mental commands to the slave, effectively taking control of the power. In other words, it was my daughter's naive, trusting personality that allowed the two of you to accomplish such a feat. That's not quite what I was going to say, but sure, that works. Fine, I'll choose to believe you. Given my daughter's fascination with you and your claim to be an accomplished spell creator, what you say is not without credence. However, Nidhogg narrows her gaze and stares directly into my eyes. Words are only going to get you so far. I shall soon see for myself whether your claims have any merit or not. We're going to have to do a demonstration, aren't we? Please don't kill me. Much to Iron's displeasure, I leave Nidhogg and Iron to chat amongst themselves and return to my bedroom. It seems they have matters to discuss which do not pertain to Dragon, so even if I stayed, I likely wouldn't be part of the conversation. For the time being, I've been instructed to remain on standby and to wait for Nidhogg to come find me. Judged by a dragon. Not a joyful, fun-loving half-breed like Dragon, but a wise old creature of legend. The infamous Nidhogg. Unlike Hein, I haven't had any prior dealings with Dragon's mother. The only Nidhogg I've ever heard of is that of Norse mythology. A beast which gnaws on the roots of Yggdrasil, the World Tree, and chews on the corpses of heinous criminals. What similarities Dragon's mother has to this creature of legend remain to be seen. Nidhogg came here after hearing about Dragon's time at Amadronia, which means Dragon must have flown back home after vanishing from our date. She became distraught, sought the comfort of her family, and wound up sending her mother to Amadronia on a mission. I lay down on my bed and looked up at the bunk above mine. Thoughts of Dragon and her mother continued to swirl around inside my head, causing me to realise things I had been too busy or afraid to think about earlier. Nidhogg stated that I'm the object of her daughter's desire, and that I will be tested to see if I'm worthy of Dragon's affection. I thought I'd really screwed things up during our date the other day, but if Dragon led her mother to such a conclusion, then perhaps Dragon thinks more fondly of me than I realised. Yeah, it does seem that way. What? I jump up as Nidhogg suddenly appears before me. Without using the door, she seems to manifest out of thin air right before my eyes. Wow, how'd you do that? Read your mind. Appear out of nowhere. And read my mind, yeah. You call yourself a master spell creator, yet feats at this level astound you. Oh well, I suppose it's to be expected of a mere human. Before you misunderstand any further, allow me to explain to you something about dragons. We do not feel human emotions such as love in the same manner as you do. We are possessive creatures who understand little more than obsession and wrath. My daughter does not yet understand this, but what she feels towards you is possessiveness, it's not love. Oh, I see. That isn't the question I was hoping to have answered, but it does clear up a few things. The way Nidhogg explained it, Dragon thinks of me as her possession, rather than a person for whom she feels affection. But hang on a sec, Dragon's only half. What about her other half? Wouldn't that make her capable of feeling human emotions too? In theory. Be that as it may, you should not get your hopes up based on such a premise. My daughter is indeed rather whimsical for a dragon, and I do believe that this is a consequence of her being a half-breed. As she ages, however, she will inevitably yield to the superior blood pumping through her veins and lose any such traits. You're saying Dragon will eventually lose her human half? That's correct. Unlike other species, half-dragons rarely remain half-breeds. By the time she reaches 1,000 or so years of age, my daughter will become a full-blooded dragon. 1,000? Is that? It will be a long time after you've perished, yes. Which, now that I think about it, validates your pursuit of her heart. Perhaps your desire to be loved by my daughter is not so foolish after all. Oh, thanks. I think you're the one misunderstanding this time though. It's not as though I was trying to enter that kind of relationship with your daughter. Dragon and I are just... Naziel? What? My daughter's name is Naziel. You mean your other daughter? I only have one daughter, human. Or at least, one who still lives. Naziel is Dragon's real name. Dragon is a name her father came up with, which I flatly rejected. Oh yes, Dragon did mention something like that after we first met. Apparently, her father wanted to call her Drake. Yes, Naziel's father is not a smart man. Regardless, Dragon is simply a name under which Naziel enrolled at this academy. There are many people out there who know that Naziel is my daughter, so I thought it best to have her enroll while using an alias. By the time that Naziel becomes a full-blooded dragon, such concerns will become unnecessary, but until then, precautions must be taken. Nidhogg is being hunted to the point where others would target her daughter. I can't say that I'm surprised, given the way Nidhogg treats people. As the one chosen by my daughter, I thought you deserved to know her true name. And of course, you also need to know what it means to be cherished by a dragon. Your life will likely end long before Naziel becomes a full-blooded dragon, but even so, being the target of a dragon's affection is no joke. If you wish to end your relationship with my daughter, you better do it sooner rather than later. The longer you're together, the greater her obsession's going to become. After a while, you'll no longer have a say in the matter, and her will shall become law. Tell me, human, is that a fate you're prepared to accept, or would you rather sever your ties with my daughter, now that you know the truth? Okay, we have got a decision here, and I know if I pick the top one, normal life, it's got the little knife indicator, which is a prompt to say that it's going to be a bad ending. Whereas if you go for the other one, the story is going to continue, so I think we're going to go for the bad ending, and then we'll check out the good ending later on. Let's go for the bad ending. Regrettably, I shake my head. I do like Dragon, but not to the point where I'm willing to put myself in danger or feed her obsession. All I want is to finish my studies at Amadronia, make a name for myself as a scholar, and live a relatively normal life. Entering a serious relationship with a dragon has never been part of my plan. Oh, I see. That's unfortunate. I just want to be Dragon's friend, nothing more. I'm sorry if I gave her a different impression, but that's just how it is. No, I'm sure it's not something for which you need to apologise. No, Naziel, she probably became overly excited about befriending a human, and allowed your kindness to go to her head. Yeah, something like that. Nidhogg nods in comprehension. Contrary to my expectations, she seems to be taking my refusal of her daughter's interest quite well. It's a shame, but I suppose Naziel was going to learn this lesson sooner or later. At least this way she'll be able to ride out her tumultuous years in a safe environment with a partner of her choosing. Okay, I'm not really sure I follow here. You'll understand soon enough. Oh, what was that? I admire your bravery, human. Not only did you come out to face me on your own, you even dared to refuse my daughter's advances and to state your intentions to me directly. In that sense, you have more spine than any human I've met in a long time. However, under Nidhogg's intense glare, I find myself paralysed, not by fear or indecision, but by an external physical force. Starting with my feet, my entire body has begun to grow numb. Whether you intended to or not, the fact of the matter is that you've roused my daughter's interest. As such, I will have you take responsibility for your actions by remaining by her side. Since you have expressed your desire to do no such thing, I am left with no choice but to make you hers by force. Unable to move my hands or feet at all, I glance down at my body frantically in an attempt to figure out what's happening to me. However, all I can see are flashes of orange and yellow, quickly devouring my entire body. Something is travelling up my body, restricting my movement and preventing me from escaping. Real magic, courtesy of the dragon whose wrath I have incurred. Don't despair, lad. There are worse ways to spend one's life than as the possession of a dragon. Nidhogg walks toward my paralysed body, closing the short distance between us. She then removes the bangle from my wrist, something I thought only the principal could do, and takes a step back. Much better. Now, if we could only do something about that expression. If you continue to make that face, Naziel is going to feel bad about accepting my gift. So put on a smile in your final moments of freedom, would ya? You might as well. After all, this is the last chance you're ever going to have. Okay, we got turned into amber, I think it was. That's not good. So yeah, that is a bad ending. The moment Nidhogg had encased my body in an amber-like substance, I am teleported to her lair without delay. Immobilized yet conscious, I watch on in horror as Nidhogg puts me on display, treating my preserved body as a centerpiece for her cave. I cannot speak, make any gestures, or communicate in any fashion. My body's ether is absorbed by the substance encapsulating my body, while simultaneously blocking any outside ether from reaching me. I have no way to cast spells, nor can I move a single muscle. I am completely and utterly powerless. At first, life in captivity isn't so bad. In fact, to my surprise, being preserved as a living statue has actually granted an oft-touted dream of mine, to break free of the mortal bonds of food and sleep, and to spend my days absorbed in my research. However, the novelty of my situation soon wears off. Without the freedom to test my theories or to search for new subjects to research, my optimism quickly fades. My current situation is not the kind of life I had once dreamed about. It's a gateway to madness. When Dragon's familiar figure appears before my eyes, a glimmer of hope resurfaces in my heart. Shocked, horrified, and desperate to free me, Dragon does everything in her power to break through her mother's spell and to restore my freedom. Unfortunately, just like the novelty of a life without hunger or sleep, the hope offered by Dragon's presence soon wears off. Dragon isn't powerful enough to break her mother's spell. No matter what she does, she can't even make a dent in my prison, let alone free me from it. Just like me, Dragon is powerless before the overwhelming strength of her mother. Before I can fall completely into despair, Nidhogg offers Dragon and I a moment to reunite. Nidhogg frees me from the amber-like substance and then presents my body to Dragon, almost like a ritual sacrifice. Despite the fact that I have been freed from the amber-like substance, however, I'm still paralysed. I cannot speak to Dragon at all, nor can I feel her tears on my face as she apologises over and over for how things have turned out. Even without my amber shell, I am still naught but a living statue. Under her mother's guidance, Dragon proceeds to engage in acts which leave me utterly shocked. Freed, yet immobilised, I become the subject of Dragon's obsession, or, to be more specific, her lust. I am laid down on the ground, with Dragon mounting my paralysed body in a half-dragon form. What is this? Presented with Dragon's naked figure, I am finally able to move one part of my body, which Nidhogg has freed from her control. Without any regard for the will of Dragon or myself, Nidhogg has turned me into a device for inseminating her daughter. Over the many centuries to come, my life remains more or less the same. I spend my days preserved in amber, freed only once every 100 years or so, when Dragon wishes to have more children. I then watch as she gives birth, raises our children, and inevitably sends them out into the world, leaving me to wonder if and when I will next be freed. My entire life, once devoted to satisfying my own curiosity, becomes that of an absent father, whose only joy comes from watching his children grow up from afar. Will I ever be freed from this amber prison? Will the spell lose its power upon Nidhogg's death? Will Dragon gain the strength to free me once she becomes a full-blooded dragon? And if she does gain that strength, does she still want to free me? For now, I hold no belief that any of these things will ever come to pass. I have long given up hope of ever being freed, or of restoring any sense of meaning to my life. I am the father of Dragon's children, nothing more and nothing less. Wow, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? Okay, that was very much a bad ending, but we're going to try and get a better ending in the next video. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.